That square? Yeah. 3 times 3 equals 9. hmm The multiple powers of 3. Yeah. I noticed that the family likes to use, well, there's squares. Yes. There's X's and there's O's. See, O, you don't know. Yeah. And then there's I don't know. Oh. And then there was the X's, those that are in the Skull and Bones, that top secret society of individuals that happen to be in control of politics. Yeah. If they were top secret, we wouldn't know about them, but it seems that we do. Yes. And then there were a group of individuals that called themselves the X's and the squares. Yeah. I once had emailed a client of mine and she said, well, fair and square. Oh, oh, oh. See, this is how the top secret family works. They use symbols. Yep. To describe their top secret way of doing things. Yeah. It could be an O, could be an X, or could be a square. No. hmm hmm Now, maybe it's a pyramid. It's one of these triangles. No. Three-sided. You can have an O, an X, a square, and a triangle. The top secret family. Oh, is it the triangle? My gosh, look at all the different sides of the different, what are they called again? Figures. You know, when communicating with those in the top secret family. Yes, fair and square. Oh, did you decide that you were going to be involved in corporate espionage? You were going to virtualize the population. Why don't you get me the Skull and Bones today? All of those that have graduated from Ivy Leagues. As I remember it, yes. There was the O of Heidi Lee Budnick and those in the O family of women. Yes. That thought being Nazi lesbian witches was such a good thing. I've thought a lot about lesbianism, and I think they confuse the eroticism of women with wanting to be lesbian. And then there are all those men that are squares. Yes, yes, yes. It's very masculine being a square. Now, my thought was I was not an actual figure. Yeah. I wasn't an O. I'm not in the Skull and Bones. Yes. I'm not a pirate. Oh. I'm not a square. I'm not a triangle. No. Just a regular old person, a top secret agent of the International Budnik Intelligence Agency that happens to have an incredible amount of support. Now, oh, you do not know which, ouch. Let's say that you did use the civilian population Homeland Security. Why don't we call Janet? Janet Ann Napolitano, president of the University of California University System. Yeah. Former governor of the state of Arizona, and secretary of Homeland Security. Yes. One of those individuals that says, oh, you know which I know. Pouch! Now let's call Jane, second in command of Homeland Security during the time of the static electricity. Well, we thought for sure we're going to research and develop different types of population control technology where the population doesn't realize what's happening to them, but we're taking their brains every day, and every time they have an orgasm, the orgasms ends up in the electric grid. Yeah. Now, as an individual that happens to be a man, does Homeland Security have any knowledge of any civil rights violations? Pooch, any kidnapping? Oh, corporate espionage. When you think about all the different ways of research and developing various types of technologies that are so important to the war effort of this great nation, how many soldiers and sailors like the idea of going to war because of the use of technology that was tested on the American population? As a citizen, every time you sold into me any sort of technology, yeah, I did not like the idea of being the guinea pig. Mm, oh. Well, if you're going to test technology and its effect on the actual population, should you really be doing it on the American citizens that the United States military should be defending? Uh, Seems like there's a little question about exactly what population should be used to be tested on. Yes. Now, could you get me the square? Yes. The X. Oh, the O. And the triangle. You know that V? V is for victory. We're going to win. The dogs always win. Yeah. For those that sewed themselves in, that decided to use their sexual nervings as a communication system, I like the smile a lot better than the O, the X, the V, the triangle, or the square. Yeah. Now, the thought was that I would have a certain volunteer that is having her, what is it called again? It's gender specific. Yes. I was looking at the United Nations yesterday and I put it on my Facebook. It seems stupid, but I do it this way. Yes, he does. I said lock all the email addresses. I think we're getting to that point of emailing that I need to include some additional United Nations humanitarian rights violations. Yes. My thought that Maryland having her United Nations women's rights violated. Yeah. It'd be good to have some war crime. Well, obviously, that's not a picture of Marilyn Van Proyen. Yes, yes, yes. Her husband is in the way and tests various types of corporate technology on the congregation. Now, they have what's known as Preventing Gender Bias. Pooh. Department of Justice, identifying and preventing gender bias in law enforcement response to sexual assault and domestic violence. Yes. Now, I thought the Department of Justice was going to get sued. I mean, I was almost sure of it. I told every attorney in the Department of Justice, you all are getting sued and quite possibly going to prison. And for each and every one of the attorney generals of the United States of America, not only am I a victim of domestic violence as a white man, there's a gender bias against the enforcement of the due process rights of men in this nation. And when you email the Department of Justice the number of times that I have as being a victim of domestic violence, yes. Then there's Marilyn being victimized by Mike Van Proyen because of the use of an image of Susan Bowers in a Rotarian newsletter. Yeah. I thought for sure we could do this together. We could sue the Department of Justice together, those individuals in the employment of the Department of Justice. See, law enforcement should always respond to any knowledge of the violating of civil rights. Yes. They should respond to any knowledge of forgery or fraud. Poop. They should respond to any knowledge of the accusation of committing any crime where you do know that you have the evidence exonerating yourself. Now, preventing gender bias in policing practices, City of Seattle. Yes. When I email the number of individuals that I've emailed, the actual documentation of gender bias in the police departments, yeah. Well, Domestic Violence will work with us, developed this guidance, and provided us with helpful comments and suggestions on one critical part of improving the LEA's response to allegations of sexual assault and domestic violence is identifying and preventing gender bias in policing practices. Yeah. Now, as a man, my actual gender, yes, yes, yes. I think that I'm experiencing the discrimination of the gender bias of police departments that dislike men. Yes. I mean, why else would you accuse a man of violating the restraint provisions of a protection order? Yes, that the petitioner didn't sign. Happens to be the forgery of the ex-officio Superior Court clerk. Pouch! Could quite possibly have the forgery of the court commissioner. Yeah. Was issued for 10 years and I never got notice or opportunity to be heard. Now, when I inform law enforcement of the gender bias that I'm experiencing as a man, yes, what's the possibility that you, as law enforcement, have been biased against Marilyn? Yes, her kids, and the domestic violence of her own husband. Now, you said it was a practical joke, but I thought for sure that as that top secret square. That's right.